All right, so assignment 51 is the next item that we're going to work on. And for this one, you're going to need to make a viewfinder. It's not a complicated process. The instructions make it seem more complicated than it has to be. And you see somebody here with a ruler and all this kind of stuff. But basically, the idea is a piece of paper that you tear a hole in the center of that is around the size of the rectangles that you're going to be using for this assignment. That you're going to use as a viewfinder. It allows you to block out stuff that surrounds it and create a selective focus. Anytime anybody says a viewfinder, that's all they mean. It's not a complex piece of equipment. If you've ever seen anybody in a TV show or a movie holding their hands up and making a little sort of window with their fingers and looking through them, they're doing a hand viewfinder, so it's the same concept. I'm going to show you this in Illustrator. You're going to be doing this on paper, but I'm showing you in Illustrator so I can do the screen capture. So the basic idea for your viewfinder is take a piece of paper. You're going to fold it, and I'm going to draw lines here showing you what you're going to do. Along the diagonal in both directions, so corner to corner. And having folded it, you're going to end up with, essentially a triangle that you have to work with. And then you're going to rip a hole in the center or cut a hole in the center if you want to be all nice and fancy. It's kind of sort of like that. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. Rectangular is fine, but you want a hole that looks pretty much like the little rectangle that I just drew. The lines that you have along the folding are just to help you figure out what the center of the page is. So if you want to fold it and then tear the hole in the middle, that's okay. It's not a problem. I am going to quickly turn mine into an actual viewfinder so that I can show you the next part of how this is going to shake out. But you don't have to draw the box that I just did and so forth. All right, so I've got, and I'm going to get rid of the diagonal lines only so I don't confuse anybody when I'm moving on to the next part. And all right, so mine's about to be a real viewfinder as soon as I create a hole in this. And so effectively, I'm going to make mine something other than white so that you can tell what it is. All right, mine's going to be a weird light pink. The white in the center is not a rectangle anymore. It is me seeing through to the background. So I'm going to scoot it over so that you can see that's what's happening when I move it over to the edge. That is me looking through to the divide between the page and the background here. So I am temporarily going to scoot it over to the side. I'm going to come back to my viewfinder when I need it, and I'm going to focus on the actual text part of this. So you're going to do this on your computers. Whatever program you have will be fine. You want to get some type. You can pick what characters. I'm just going to use the word large, so that hopefully gets the point across. It helps if you spell it correctly too. And I'm going to make the word large really, really large. So again, I'm using Illustrator, but this can be done in Word. It can be done in Google Docs. It can be done in pretty much any program you can think of. But you need the text to be substantial enough in size that you can do the viewfinder bit that we're talking about in a second here and go where you need to go in terms of the assignment. And I'm going to actually insert a couple more characters because I find this assignment easier if I have a lot of stuff to work from. So here we go. All right, it is on screen. I have my text. Now, what you're going to do with your large text and your viewfinder is you're going to position your viewfinder, and your viewfinder actually does in fact need to be over the text and not behind it. So mine is. All right, you're going to take your viewfinder. You're going to move it around until you're not trying to center a letter in here. My text may still need to be larger, but you're trying to create sort of an abstraction that isn't totally identifiable as a particular character. And I can still kind of tell that that's an A, but that would work. And then in your drawing book, you will have set up a grid, an eight rectangle grid, because you're going to do 4 pairs. So I might draw this, or The good news is with your actual viewfinders, you can do the same thing I'm doing here. You can do something like that, where maybe it's not quite as identifiable. And you would use your pencil, you would draw the shape that you're seeing, you would fill in the positive space and leave the negative space vacant, and you would draw that. And then we want 4 pairs. So figure out another position on the same character that is different. So in the case of this A, I might rotate it a little bit more and do that. And so I'm getting the bottom part the first time, the top part the second time. Or maybe I want to get the top of the A and the bottom of the E since I have the double. So I could do this sort of swoop swoop that I'm getting here. That technically is a second version of the A. I'm just also getting part of the E as well. And you're going to do a total of 8 of these. So to do the E, maybe I'm going to get just that part. Or maybe I want part of the E and part of the S. But the idea is you're not, quote, taking a picture, but you're using the viewfinder to help you abstract these shapes that otherwise you might find difficult to abstract. And depending on how large your text is, and mine actually could be bigger than what you're seeing there, you'll move it around. And this again, in your case, it's a physical piece of paper, but you're still moving it around, and then you're drawing what you see inside of that. You can, hold it up to the screen while you're sketching it in, and then you go back in and fill in. And my drawn version of this would be, of course, the negative space around it and the black solid parts of the character. So for the G, I might do that, and I might do even something like that for the lower part. And those are 2 different versions of the G, using this whole idea of isolating and abstracting something by way of a viewfinder. So the final version that you're turning in your drawing book, or that you're going to photograph, is going to look more like what they're showing here on the left. You'll have 8 rectangular areas where you've captured part of the character that you saw through the viewfinder. Okay, so yours should take up a whole page. It will be larger than this. They can't be teeny weeny, so they should have some size to them. And the composite of 8 should take up about a page.